I found out 2 days before my wedding that my twin brother had slept with my fiancée, and that our mother told him to keep it a secret. For the sake of the family name. Yeah. Let that sink in. It was a Thursday afternoon. The tux was hanging on the door. The rings were already picked up. The final headcount had been sent to the caterer. And I was standing on the back deck of my parents' house, looking out at the lake, trying to soak in what was supposed to be the happiest weekend of my life. That's when Thomas walked up behind me. My twin. My other half, or at least that's what people always said growing up. The Bryant boys, they'd call us, two sides of the same coin. I was the steady one. He was the charmer. I followed rules. He made his own. We fought like hell as kids but had each other's backs where it counted. Or so I thought. He said he needed to talk, and I could already hear something strange in his voice. Like guilt wearing a button-down shirt. I thought maybe he was just nervous about the speech. He was my best man, after all. But then he sat down. Didn't look at me. Didn't say my name. Just breathed in deep and said the words like they weighed 1,000 pounds. I need to tell you something about Vanessa. That's all it took for the ground to shift. I turned toward him, the name alone making my stomach tighten. And then he said it. That they'd slept together. Months ago. Just once, he said. A mistake. A moment. One of those things you regret before it's even over. He said it happened back in February. During that weekend she told me she was going to visit her sister in Charleston. I remembered it clearly. I was at a shipping conference for work, halfway across the country. She said she'd be bored without me and needed a little girl time. Turns out, it was Thomas time instead. My whole body went cold. Not anger, not yet, just that numb, dizzy kind of disbelief that hits you before the pain fully arrives. I looked at my brother, the man who used to sneak Pop-Tarts into my backpack when Mom made us eat oatmeal, and I didn't see him. I saw a stranger wearing his face. I asked why. And that's when he said the part that truly broke me. Mom found out, he said. She told me not to tell you. Said it would ruin everything. Said you'd never recover. That it would embarrass the family. That it was better if we just let it go. Let it go. Like it was spilled wine or a forgotten birthday. He said she made him promise. That she told him Vanessa had already chosen me, that she regretted it, and digging it up would only cause destruction. She said you deserved happiness, he said, like that made any of it okay. I stood there, gripping the railing so tight I thought it might splinter under my hands. Not just because of what they did, but because they made that choice for me. My own mother. My brother. The two people who were supposed to protect me from this exact kind of heartbreak, they were the ones who handed it to me. Vanessa. My fiancée. The woman I was 48 hours away from promising forever to, had slept with my twin. And they both thought I'd be better off never knowing. That's when I realized this wasn't just a betrayal. This was a conspiracy. And suddenly, the wedding felt like a funeral. But the body wasn't mine. It was the version of my life I thought I was living. The next 48 hours would unravel more than I was ready for. Because secrets don't stay buried. They just wait for the worst possible moment to come up for air. I didn't say anything for a long time after Thomas confessed. Just stood there, watching the lake like I was trying to disappear into it. The breeze kept blowing. Birds kept chirping. Somewhere inside the house, my aunt was laughing about shrimp skewers. But for me? The world had gone absolutely silent. You'd think I would have screamed. Hit him. Thrown a punch like we used to in high school when he stole my car without asking. But I didn't. Because this wasn't teenage recklessness. This was betrayal with intent. And it came from the one person in the world who shared my DNA. My timeline. My childhood. I didn't love her, he said quietly. I finally turned to look at him. Then why? He didn't answer right away. Just looked out at the water like the wind might do the talking for him. I don't know, he said eventually. I was drunk. She was upset. You'd been fighting. One thing led to another. I wanted to laugh. I really did. That cliché excuse, one thing led to another, like love and loyalty could be undone by gravity and bad timing. But the part that cut deepest wasn't even the act. It was Mom. You went to her? I asked. My voice sounded foreign to me. He nodded. I didn't know what to do. I panicked. I told her everything. And she told you to bury it. He didn't nod this time. Didn't have to. Now, our mom, Margaret Bryant, she was the kind of woman people listened to. The head of the table, the keeper of family image. She had an opinion on everything from salad forks to Senate races. I always knew she loved us in her own way, but it came with conditions. Be presentable. Be successful. Be perfect when it counted. But now I saw it differently. It wasn't love. It was legacy. And my wedding? That was just another polished page in the family album. She said it would destroy you, Thomas said again, like he was reciting a script he'd rehearsed. No. What destroyed me wasn't the truth. It was the decision to hide it. I walked back inside, past the dining room full of flowers we'd chosen together, past the fridge covered in RSVP magnets and photo booth test strips, past the note Vanessa had written me that morning, "Can't wait to marry you. Love, V." Her handwriting suddenly looked like a stranger's. I didn't say a word to anyone. Just went upstairs to the guest bedroom, shut the door, and sat on the edge of the bed. My hands were shaking. Not with rage. With mourning. Because the man who walked into that house earlier, he was already gone. And the version of me that sat on that bed, he was starting to understand just how deep the rot went. That night, I didn't sleep. I laid awake, staring at the ceiling fan, trying to retrace every step that led here. The proposal in Asheville. The way Vanessa cried when she said yes. The night Thomas hugged me and said, "You found the one, man." Had he known even then? Had she? The worst part was the not knowing where the lie began. Or where it ended. At 3:14 a.m., I sent Vanessa a text. "We need to talk. Tomorrow. Alone." She replied almost instantly. "Everything okay?" I didn't answer. Because no, nothing was okay. But I wanted to look her in the eye before I pulled the pin. The next morning, she showed up early. No makeup. No heels. Just jeans and a hoodie and that nervous energy she always had when she knew something was wrong but didn't want to say it out loud. I brought her to the same deck where Thomas had ruined everything less than 24 hours before. And I asked if there was anything she wanted to tell me before we said our vows. She looked confused. Then cautious. Then scared. "No," she said slowly. "Why?" I stared at her for a long time. Then said 3 words I never thought I'd say to her. "Thomas told me." Her face changed instantly. It wasn't denial. It wasn't shock. It was recognition. Like the moment a gambler sees their bluffs been called. Her mouth opened, but no sound came. And I knew. There would be no more pretending. No more white dresses. No more, forever. The house of cards was falling. And we were both standing inside it. Vanessa didn't cry right away. She just sat down on the porch swing like her knees had given out. The same swing where we'd picked our wedding colors, where she once kissed my cheek and said, "You make me feel safe." Now she looked like she was hoping it might carry her away. "I was going to tell you," she finally said. I didn't respond. I just watched her, not like a man watches the woman he loves, but like a detective trying to gauge if the suspect's lying again. She twisted the ring on her finger. Slowly. Rhythmically. Like it might unlock a better version of this moment. "I was going to tell you after the wedding," she said, eyes fixed on the floorboards. "I thought maybe it would hurt less if we were already." "Already what?" I cut in. "Married?" Contractually stuck. Her face flinched like I'd slapped her. And for a second, I felt it, that old instinct to comfort her, to reach out, to soften the blow. But I didn't move. She'd already made sure the damage was done. "It wasn't supposed to happen," she whispered. "I was drinking." "We were both," he said. "You and I had been arguing. That you weren't sure about us. That maybe you were dragging your feet." And just like that, she threw Thomas another rope. But this time, I wasn't catching it. I leaned forward. "So this was my fault? Because I took an extra week to book the venue? Because I asked if we could delay the honeymoon to handle work stuff? That's your justification?" "No, God, no. I'm not blaming you," she said, finally looking me in the eyes. "I'm just. I didn't know how to say it. I thought if I told you, I'd lose everything." "You already did," I said quietly. She didn't have a response to that. Just silence. Heavy, aching silence. But the worst part was still coming. Because I still hadn't told her the part about my mother. And when I did, her eyes widened, not in surprise, but in confirmation. She already knew. "You talked to her," I said. "After it happened?" She nodded, slow. "I went to her the next morning. I was terrified. I thought she'd tell me to leave. That she'd scream or threaten to call it all off." "And what did she say?" My voice was steady now. Cold. "She said," Vanessa hesitated. "She said, you made a terrible choice, but if you love Eric, then bury it. Don't destroy his life because of a moment you already regret." I let the words sink in. Not because I needed time to process. But because some betrayals are too big for instant emotion. You have to let them settle in your bones first. "She said it was about protecting you," Vanessa added, too softly. "She said the family name couldn't survive a scandal like that. That your father's company was too fragile, with the press watching again. That if this got out." I laughed, short and bitter. There it was. The real reason. Not love. Not concern. Just reputation. Image. Legacy. "You know what the worst part is?" I asked, standing up. "It's not that you made a mistake. It's not even that it was with my brother. It's that you both decided I couldn't handle the truth. That I'd rather live a lie than face heartbreak." Vanessa didn't say anything. She was crying now, finally, but not the messy, open kind. The silent tears of someone who knows they've lost the thing they can't ever get back. I stepped back from the swing. From her. From the version of my life I was supposed to be walking into. "I don't know what happens after this," I said. "But I know one thing, I'm not walking into that ceremony like nothing happened. This wedding." I shook my head. It ended the moment the truth did. I turned to go. She stood abruptly, reaching for me. "Eric, please. Please don't let this be how it ends." I stopped. Didn't turn around. Just said, "You ended it the moment you trusted her more than me." Then I walked away. And that time, I didn't look back. I didn't answer my phone for 2 days. Not Vanessa. Not Thomas. Not even my mother, who left 3 voicemails so calm they were almost chilling, like she was discussing a misplaced brooch, not the unraveling of her son's life. Instead, I stayed at a motel on the edge of town. Cheap. Quiet. The kind of place where nobody asked your last name if you paid cash and kept the TV low. I needed space, not the kind people offer with tight voices and disappointed eyes. Real space. From the wedding, from the expectations, from the web of lies they spun and called protection. Funny thing is, I used to think family meant loyalty. Turns out, in mine, it meant silence. It meant closed ranks. It meant protecting the illusion even if it meant burning the truth to the ground. On the second night, I stared at the wedding itinerary printed out in my overnight bag. The florist delivery was scheduled for noon tomorrow. Vanessa's final dress fitting had already happened. The rehearsal dinner, the one my mom planned down to the color of the napkins, was in 12 hours. And there I was, sitting on a creaky bed, eating gas station pretzels and watching the ceiling fan turn in circles. I thought about my dad. He died 3 years ago. Heart failure. Quick. Clean. The way he lived. He was never loud, never flashy. He kept to himself, worked hard, and taught me 3 things: tell the truth, protect your brother, and marry someone who tells the truth back. I failed on 2 counts. And Thomas? He failed all 3. The next morning, I called him. I don't know why, maybe to give him the same dignity he never gave me. He picked up on the second ring, voice tight. Eric. I didn't waste time. Why'd you do it? A pause. Then, I told you. It just. No, I cut him off. Not the moment. Not the excuse. I want to know the why. You don't trip and fall into my fiancé. You make a choice. He was quiet for a beat. Then he said something that hit harder than I expected. I think I wanted to hurt you. There it was. No dodging. No deflection. Just the ugly root pulled from the dirt. He continued, voice low. I didn't mean for it to go that far, but I was angry. You always got everything, man. The grades. The job. The girl. Mom's approval. And I was just tired of being second. I didn't respond. Because what do you say to the person who decided your joy was the hill they'd bury their resentment on? I told her it was a mistake, he said. I told Mom because I was scared. I didn't think she'd bury it. I thought she'd fix it. She always does. I laughed bitterly. She didn't fix anything. She just gave it a prettier name and told you to keep quiet. I'm sorry, he said, and for once, I think he meant it. But I know that doesn't help. No, I said, it doesn't. I hung up. Then, for the first time in days, I got in the car and drove home. When I walked into the apartment, Vanessa was there, sitting on the couch, eyes red, hair pulled back like she didn't want to distract from the pain. She stood when she saw me. I canceled everything, she said. The rehearsal. The vendors. I couldn't. I didn't know if I had the right. You don't, I said gently. But I didn't walk out this time. I sat down. She did too. What now? She asked. And for once, I didn't have a clear answer. I just knew I couldn't marry her. Not because I didn't love her. But because love without trust isn't a life, it's a performance. And I was done acting. I don't hate you, I said, slowly. But I can't forgive what I don't understand. And I don't understand how you looked me in the eye every day since February and still said yes. She cried then. Quietly. No makeup to hide behind. Just raw grief. I thought we'd be okay, she said. I thought we could outrun it. But the thing about buried secrets is, they rot. And when they surface, they take everything down with them. I packed a bag. Left the apartment key on the counter. No goodbye. Just a nod. She didn't follow me. Didn't plead. Because some part of her knew, too. We weren't walking down the aisle. We were walking away. You ever walk through a place that used to feel like yours and suddenly feel like a trespasser? That's what it felt like, stepping into my mother's house 3 days after I left Vanessa. It wasn't supposed to be a confrontation. It wasn't even supposed to happen. But then I got the envelope. No return address. Just my name in her handwriting, perfect, slanted, always with a loop on the R, like she was signing an invitation, not sending an apology. Inside was a check. $25,000. No note. No explanation. Just a number and a signature. As if that would patch the hole she'd helped rip in my life. I drove straight there. Didn't call. Didn't knock. Walked through the front door like I had 100 times before, only this time, I wasn't her son. I was the man she tried to manage. She was in the kitchen, rearranging orchids on the table like nothing had happened. When she saw me, she didn't flinch. Just placed a vase down, wiped her hands on a dish towel, and said, "I figured you'd come." I held up the envelope. Was this supposed to make things right? It was a gesture, she said, but for the first time, her voice wavered. I know it's not enough. But I didn't know what else to do. Inconvenience. My engagement. My heart. My life. I'm not a publicist, Mom, I said, my voice quiet but sharp. You don't have to spin this like a press release. She sighed. That long, tired sigh she always used when I disappointed her by being human instead of her idea of me. I know you're angry. No, I said. I'm disappointed. I'm hurt. But mostly, I'm stunned. That you knew what happened, and your first instinct was to sweep it under the rug. I didn't want to see you spiral, she said. You've worked so hard. You've built a name. A life. You don't throw that away over one mistake. You think this saved me? I asked. She looked down, her fingers tightening around the edge of the table. I thought it would spare you one kind of pain, she said quietly. But perhaps I only replaced it with another. That's on me. I waited, hoping for more. She sighed, her voice barely above a whisper. I was scared, Eric. Scared that the truth would shatter everything you were building. I thought I was protecting you, but maybe I was just protecting myself, from seeing you hurt, from facing the consequences. I shook my head. You protected your version of my future, not me. She sat down, slowly, and folded her hands like a queen preparing for court. I know you don't understand, she said. But someday, when you have a family, you'll see what it means to hold something together. I stared at her, stunned. Is that what you think you did? Of course, she said. Everything stayed intact. No, I said, stepping back. Everything rotted. You just painted over the smell. I left the envelope on the counter. Didn't tear it. Didn't throw it. Just placed it gently beside her orchids, like a quiet symbol of everything she failed to grasp. As I walked out, I passed the old wall of family photos. Smiling faces. Framed memories. And there, in the center, was the picture from my college graduation. Me and Thomas, arms around each other, Mom in the middle. The golden trio. The myth. I reached up, took it off the nail, and flipped it face down. Not out of spite. Out of honesty. Because sometimes, the first step toward healing is admitting who's not safe to hold your past anymore. And in that moment, I wasn't just walking away from a mother who made a terrible choice. I was walking away from the family idea she tried to sell me, the one that required silence, loyalty, and sacrifice at the cost of self. I chose myself. And that choice. It didn't come with applause. It came with quiet. But it was mine. It's been 4 months since the wedding that never was. Funny how people always talk about heartbreak like it's loud, screaming matches, broken plates, slamming doors. But in truth, It's quiet. It's brushing your teeth in an apartment that still smells like her perfume. It's deleting reminders from your calendar. It's that one wine glass she always used sitting in the back of the cabinet, untouched. I stayed in the apartment for a while. Not out of sentiment. Just inertia. The same way a ship keeps drifting long after the engine cuts off. But eventually, I moved. New place. Smaller. Quieter. My name on the lease, my name on the mailbox. I even bought a new set of dishes, not because I needed them, but because I didn't want to keep eating off the same plates we used to argue about. The truth is, I'm not angry anymore. Not at Vanessa. Not even at Thomas. I'm not sure what that says about me. Maybe that I'm healing. Maybe that I'm tired. But what I do feel, what I didn't expect to feel, is clear. Because here's the thing no one tells you about betrayal, it doesn't just burn down the old life. It forces you to build a new one with eyes wide open. No illusions. No borrowed truths. Just you, your scars, and whatever you choose to carry forward. I still see Thomas sometimes. We're not what we were. We never will be. But we share history. Blood. Too many summers at the lake to erase it all. And maybe, somewhere deep down, he really did believe he was living in my shadow. It doesn't excuse anything. But it explains something. As for Vanessa, we exchanged one final message. She texted a few weeks after I moved. Said she understood. Said she hoped I found someone who made love feel like trust, not a gamble. I wrote back. I hope you learn to tell the truth the first time next time. She didn't reply. And I didn't need her to. Sometimes, closure isn't a conversation. It's a decision, to stop bleeding for people who bandage you in silence. My mother? We haven't spoken. She sent a card on my birthday. No note. Just my name in her perfect handwriting and a check I never cashed. I left it in a drawer. Because I don't need her money. What I needed was her to be the kind of mother who says, that was wrong. I'm sorry. But she's not built that way. And I've stopped trying to rebuild people who don't want to change. These days, I'm not chasing anything. I'm just living. Working. Reading more. I started hiking again. There's something about standing on a ridge line with nothing but air and distance around you that resets your soul. I even met someone. Nothing serious yet. She asked why I wasn't married when I mentioned I used to be engaged. I told her the truth, the short version. And when she said, that must have hurt, I didn't flinch. I just nodded. Because it did. But it doesn't anymore. You know what it feels like now? Like something I survived. Like something that taught me what not to compromise for love. And more importantly, what I will never settle for again. So no, there was no wedding. No aisle. No, I do. But I found something else. Something steadier. Quieter. More honest. I found me. And this time, I'm not sharing him with anyone who hasn't earned it.